I have commanded massive capital ships across the farthest reaches of the galaxy in X-Ray Foundations. I have survived high-stakes dogfights in the vacuum of Star Citizen, most of them. I thought I knew what it meant to be a pilot, but right now I am 2,000 feet above the Georgian countryside in my very first hour of DCS, and I'm about to turn a $30 million F-16 into a very expensive lawn ornament. The landing gear is down, the runway is in sight, but my flaps, they aren't responding. I'm flipping switches, I'm checking my bindings, and I'm realizing that for a space pilot used to the luxury of autoland and physics-defying thrusters, this is a brutal reality check.
Altitude. Altitude. Warning, 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 warning.
This is the Winwing Orion 2. It's a 1-to-1 all-metal replica of the actual F-16 Viper controls. It looks like it was ripped straight out of a jet. It's premium, it feels incredible, and it weighs enough to be used as a weapon. But here's the problem. These controls are so massive and heavy that they literally do not belong on a desk. Because Windwing shipped me these without a desk mount, I had to Frankenstein a custom wooden adapter just to keep them at a usable height. If you're thinking about buying this, learn from my mistakes. Do not put a high-end military replica on a piece of scrap lumber. Get a proper mounting system, or you're going to feel exactly as ridiculous as I do right now. And the setup itself, it's a total contradiction. I'm holding the Strike Ace EX throttle grip, a 1-to-1 replica of the F-15 EX dual throttle, designed for a twin-engine beast. That piece is mounted on a base designed for either an F-16, a F-15 or a F-18, and I'm currently using it to fly a plane that only has one engine. It is the ultimate sim hybrid, but as I found out, having this many buttons is a double-edged sword. And while I'm fighting the physics of a completely different plane here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, I'm also fighting the view. But I found a cheat code. See this? No VR headset, no bulky sensors, just me leaning forward to check my instruments. We'll talk about the beam eye tracker you see here later, but first we need to see if I can even get that F-16 engine to start without blowing up the entire airbase. The Strike EX grip is a masterpiece of overkill. There are 3 4-way heads, a 2-way head and a 3-way switch just for my thumb. My brain literally ran out of things to map to them. In Star Citizen, it's amazing. You can map every single power triangle and shield setting to a physical click. But in most other games, I'm accidentally jettisoning my fuel tanks when I just wanted to look at the radar. But let's talk about the feel. Specifically, the throttle. Once you get this Strike Ace grip moving, it's smooth. But if you let it sit for just 10 seconds, it feels like it glues itself in place. This is what we call stiction. And on my unit, it's a massive hurdle. It takes a considerable amount of force just to break this thing loose. In a Cessna, that's the difference between a smooth approach and a sudden dramatic lurch in engine power when you only wanted a tiny adjustment. Moving this dual grip handle should feel powerful and precise. Instead, because of that stiction, it feels like I'm trying to unstick a jar of honey every time I want to adjust my speed. Compared to my Whirlpool CM3, which moves if you even look at it, this is a major setback. It got so bad I had to perform literal surgery on it. I'm talking dozens of screws, exposed Hall effect sensors, and me with a tub of professional grease, praying I didn't snap a $500 product in half just to make it usable. As a consumer, you have to ask, why am I the one doing the quality control on such a premium device? And then there's the space sim tax. Most joysticks let you twist your wrist for yaw. The Orion 2, not a chance. It's built for realism, which means you have to use your legs. Now, we space simmers are a flexible bunch. We're used to adapting our gear to fit our needs. You can technically map one of the many analog sticks on this grip to emulate that missing axis. But let me tell you, trying to track a zipping gladius in Star Citizen with the precision of your feet feels like trying to perform surgery with a pair of stilts. It adds absolutely zero realism to spaceflight. It just makes you feel like you're flying a 31st century starfighter with a 21st century handicap. Your aim becomes a mess, and your muscle memory is screaming at you to just turn your wrist. If you're a pure space sim player and you don't own pedals, this isn't an upgrade. It's a paperweight. Alright, it's time for the moment of truth. I have the Orion 2 throttle and stick. I have the DCS F16 module rented for the next 2 weeks. And I have absolutely zero idea what I'm doing. In Star Citizen, starting a ship is a single keybind. In X4, it's even simpler. But the F16, she's a living, breathing machine that seems quite happy to stay on the ground. To get her into the air, I have to navigate this Windwing base, a beautiful sea of red buttons and three-way toggles that look like they mean serious business. But right now, they are speaking a language I don't quite understand yet. Wait, did you see that? I just flipped the master save switch on the base and the virtual cockpit mirrored it perfectly. There's this strange, giggly moment of satisfaction when the physical world and the digital world finally click together. My inner child, you know, the one who spent hours building a Revell model of this exact plane, is absolutely losing it right now. It's tactile, it's heavy, it's exactly the kind of cool factor you pay $500 for. But then the learning curve starts to throw some curveballs. Windwing has this cloud database for keybinds, which sounds like a dream. In reality, it's a bit of a mystery box. I mapped the profile, checked the labels, and yet, when I flip a switch clearly labeled flaps, my exterior lights turn on. So there I am, sitting in a $30 million fighter jet, trying to find the engine start, and I'm accidentally throwing a disco party on the tarmac. And then things went from confusing to hilarious. I finally got the engine to spool. I felt the rumble in the stick. I was ready to taxi. I was feeling like a pro, but as the jet started to roll, I realized I couldn't stop. I'm frantically flipping the toggle labeled parking brake. Nothing. I'm hitting the toe brakes on my pedals. Still nothing. Okay, the engine works, I thought. Now let's see what else we got. Wait, stop. Why aren't you stopping? Why are we moving? Okay, okay, here we go. We're a lawnmower now. I watched, totally helpless, as this elite combat machine gently rolled off the taxiway and buried its nose in the grass. It turns out the parking brake wasn't bound to the switch that says parking brake, because of course it wasn't. This leads us to the final boss of the Windwing experience, the Sim App Pro software. When I moved over to X4 Foundations, the game needs a little help to see all the buttons on this massive throttle. So you enable 4x32 button mode. This virtually splits the controller into 4 separate joysticks, so the game engine can handle the sheer amount of inputs. But when you do that, the Windwing app goes completely blank. It won't show you which button belongs to which virtual stick. So my high-end simulation experience turns into a classic game of trial and error. I'm sitting here, clicking the same button like a madman. Is it joystick 3? No. Is it joystick 4? No. Joystick 5? Ah, there we go. It's a bit of a mad scientist vibe. You have this incredible premium hardware paired with software that definitely keeps you on your toes. After the lawnmower incident, I was sitting deep in the weeds, literally and figuratively. I actually reached out and pulled the eject canopy lever on the side of my seat just for revenge. If I'm going to be stuck in the grass, I at least want some fresh air. Duh. But that moment highlighted something critical. Because I wasn't wearing a VR headset, I could see exactly what was happening in the real world. I could look down at my hands, realize the physical switch on the Orion base hadn't triggered, and grab my mouse to manually toggle the brake in-game. In VR, I would have been blindfolded, fumbling in the dark, while my $30 million jet became a tractor. This is where the Beam Eye Tracker comes in. I call it the VR killer alternative. Not because it's more immersive than a headset, no, but because it's more practical for a pilot with a complex HOTAS. When I was landing the Cessna for the first time in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with head tracking enabled, the experience felt magical. It reminded me of the time I spent an hour in a professional Airbus A320 simulator near Frankfurt, the kind real pilots use for training, you know. Being able to sit up, lean forward to zoom into the instruments, and then look over the nose of the plane to judge my approach on the runway, well, it just works. And the best part, unlike the weeks of testing and the tub of grease I needed for the throttle, this didn't take any work. With the latest update, you just open Beam Eye Tracker, calibrate it in about 5 seconds, and you're done. No extra software, no bulky sensors on your head. Just use whatever webcam or phone you have spare. If you want to try it out for yourself, I've put my link in the description, down there. It's honestly the best way to get that one-to-one cockpit feel without losing sight of your physical buttons. So, where does that leave us with the Winwing Orion 2 and the Strike Ace EX? After 3 weeks of jumping between the cold vacuum of space and the high G turns of atmospheric flight, my feelings are complicated, but mostly positive. On one hand, the build quality on the stick itself is undeniable. The metal is premium, the switches are satisfying, and that inner child feeling of holding an F-16 grip is worth every penny of the $500 price tag. But on the other hand, you are paying for a project. You're paying for a product that might require you to be a bit of a DIY engineer. Whether it's greasing the throttle to fix the stiction or building a wooden mount because it's too massive for a desk and you actually cheaped out. This gear demands your time. If you are a hardcore flight sim pilot who wants the most tactile one-to-one experience possible, this is a dream. It makes you feel like that kid building Revell models again. Seriously. But if you're a space sim pilot, just remember the space sim tax. You'll need pedals, you'll need to be flexible with your bindings, and you'll definitely need a sense of humor when you inevitably roll into the grass. I'm going back into the cockpit now. I have a canopy to put back on and a lawnmower to turn back into a fighter jet. Alright, I'll see you in the skies.